What if I told you that Mark Zuckerberg built his first private messaging system at just 11 years old, right inside his own house? Before Facebook, before Harvard, before billions, there was a quiet kid, surrounded by computers, building systems no one asked for, but everyone used. This is Mark Zuckerberg before Facebook, not the billionaire, not the CEO, but the architect in the making. Mark Elliott Zuckerberg was born on May 14, 1984, in White Plains, New York, and raised in the quiet town of Dobbs Ferry. He was the youngest of 4 siblings, growing up alongside his sisters Randy, Donna, and Ariel. His father, Edward Zuckerberg, was a dentist. His mother, Karen Kempter Zuckerberg, was a psychiatrist. But what made Mark's childhood different wasn't money. It wasn't privilege. It was access. In the 1980s, when home computers were still a rarity, Mark's father filled their home with technology. While most kids were playing outside, Mark was learning how machines think. The family lived in the same house where Edward ran his dental practice, and computers were everywhere. This wasn't accidental. It was a technology-friendly environment, and it gave Mark a massive head start. By the age of 11, Mark did something that most adults couldn't. He built ZuckNet. ZuckNet was a home intranet system. Every computer in the house could send messages to each other. Think about that. This was years before WhatsApp, before Messenger, before Facebook. His sister Randy Zuckerberg later described it as, anyone could log into any computer around the house and send a message. She called it the first real sign that Mark was a builder, not a dreamer, not a talker, a system builder, and he never stopped. Mark began school at Ardsley High School, but his academic talent quickly stood out. Soon, he earned admission to one of the most elite boarding schools in America, Phillips Exeter Academy in New Hampshire. Exeter wasn't easy. It was competitive, demanding, elite, and Mark thrived. He earned a classical studies diploma, showing strength not just in math or science, but in deep thinking. He even became captain of the fencing team. Yes, the future tech billionaire was also a competitive athlete. This balance between logic, discipline, and competition would define his mindset later. Outside of programming, Mark had unusual interests. He read classic literature, including works like the Odyssey. He didn't just want to code, he wanted to understand humans. That's why even in high school, he took a graduate-level computer science course at Mercy College. Most teenagers struggle with homework. Mark was taking graduate courses for fun. Teachers and classmates described him as intensely curious, highly disciplined, and quietly competitive. These traits weren't loud, but they were dangerous. Mark was self-taught. He didn't wait for classes. He didn't wait for permission. He learned programming by reading manuals, even working through C++ for dummies while still in middle school. By 9th grade, he was already building computer games. One of them was a strategy game set in the Roman Empire. Notice the pattern. He wasn't just coding features. He was building systems, worlds, structures. That architect mindset was forming early. In high school, Mark worked with his close friend Adam D'Angelo. Together, they built something far ahead of its time. It was called Synapse. Synapse was an AI-driven music player that analyzed listening habits and recommended songs automatically. This was machine learning before it was mainstream. They released it under the name Intelligent Media Group, and the internet noticed. Synapse spread quickly online. It was posted on forums and reviewed on tech sites. Even Slashdot, one of the most influential tech platforms at the time, praised its innovation. For a high school student, this was massive. But then something unexpected happened. Big companies started calling. Major tech giants, including Microsoft and AOL, reached out. They wanted Synapse, or more accurately, they wanted Mark. They offered acquisition deals, job offers, corporate futures. Imagine that. Before college, before Facebook, before fame, Mark Zuckerberg was already being chased by Silicon Valley, but he turned them down. Not because the offers were bad, but because his vision was bigger. As he later told The New Yorker, the companies didn't just want the product, they wanted him to come work for them. Mark refused. He released Synapse for free and chose to go to Harvard University instead. This moment matters because it reveals something critical. Mark didn't want to work inside systems. He wanted to build them. In 2002, Mark enrolled at Harvard, studying psychology and computer science. Very quickly, he earned a reputation, not as a student, but as a programming prodigy. His dorm room became a lab. Ideas turned into code. Code turned into products. One of his early Harvard projects was CourseMatch. It allowed students to see which classes their classmates were taking so they could coordinate schedules. A simple idea, but powerful. It wasn't about tech, it was about people. And then came something far more controversial. In late 2003, Mark built FaceMash, a campus website that compared student photos in a hot or not style contest. It went viral within hours. Over 20,000 votes were cast in a single weekend. But the backlash was immediate. Privacy complaints exploded. Harvard shut it down. The administration intervened. Mark was formally admonished, but the damage, or the insight, was already done. FaceMash revealed something powerful. People craved connection, comparison, and social interaction, even digitally. Mark didn't see it as a failure. He saw it as data. And while he remained active in campus life, even joining the Alpha Epsilon Pi fraternity, his real focus stayed on building. Something bigger was coming. Before Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg had already built messaging systems, created AI software, attracted tech giants, gone viral, been shut down, and learned about human behavior. Facebook wasn't an accident, it was inevitable. In the next chapter, everything changes. Dorm rooms become boardrooms, ideas become empires, and a college project reshapes the world. If you want Part 2, the rise of Facebook, the lawsuits, the billion-dollar decisions, subscribe because this isn't just Mark Zuckerberg's story. It's the blueprint of how builders think.